Hello, everybody. Welcome to another installment of Show to Be with Mike G, the show of life, the show of selling out, the show of whiskey, Delilah's, Chicago, Joe Strummer, The Clash, and more. With today's guest, Mr. Eric Rosentreter, Redemption Whiskey. This is yet another great conversation from one of this year's San Antonio Cocktail Conference seminar presenters. Eric has a very rich past in the food industry, has worked on all sides of it, and he also is wrestling with this creative side at all times. He paints, he puts things together, he sees the details in life and objects and rearranges them for something incredibly beautiful. We have a really great chat. And of course, if you're headed to San Antonio this week for the cocktail conference, join the Rye Revival with Redemption Whiskey as Eric Rosentreter teaches us about cocktails and rye whiskey January 14th. At 1:30 through 2:45. Of course, tickets as usual for the seminars are $45. He'll be teaching and imparting that great knowledge of his at the Embassy Suites RIVERWALK downtown. A brief description of the class. Experience some of the beloved classic cocktails with a discussion on the popularity of rye pre-prohibition and how it was the go-to whiskey expression in making many of the classic cocktails we know and love today. We'll demonstrate the ease of replicating these at home with the opportunity to try a handful of these classics. So I hope I see you guys at the conference, and I hope you guys enjoy this great chat with Mr. Eric Rosentreter.
Sellout, and it's like they're actually really good at their jobs, and they're pairing up with people who can help them make money.
Right.
You know, and do these guys want to be in a van driving all over Hell's Half Acre forever?
Well, it's fucking like...
Probably not.
What do you work towards if you don't work towards that?
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Do you work towards busting your ass and struggling for the rest of your life? I mean, you deserve good things if you've worked for it.
I mean, Morrissey might, but that's a whole different bag of cats.
Well, but he's gonna bitch about everything.
Yeah, that's just who he is and what he does.
That's Morrissey, yeah. I don't know. Podcasts are an interesting thing. Are there any non-industry podcasts that you listen
to? Some. How Things Work, for sure, is one of my favorites. It's just like two dudes, and they sit there. Sometimes they'll have like some whiskey or some beer or something.
Right.
Like if you send them a bottle, they'll mention it on their podcast. I mean, I love like the backyard marketing of that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just storytelling, like how things work. And they'll just pick something and just talk about it. The research can seem a little dodgy sometimes, and I know everybody's really sensitive about that, fake news sort of stuff.
Especially now.
Now. But it's jovial. It's not taken as gospel. It's just two
dudes talking about...
Yeah, it's like two of like the best trivia people you could imagine, like talking about trivial things.
I like that.
It's just innocent.
Podcasts are this almost like an evolved media form at the moment, right? So I like it because we can swear if we want. I can fucking cover whatever goddamn thing I want to cover.
Fuck yeah.
And that's right. So we can talk about brands, which I think most of the guys that I talk to, I mean, Redemption's a fucking great brand, right? So we'll talk about that. But it's good. It's got good presence, respectability, integrity, et cetera, et cetera. But this is about you, ultimately, right? This is, I just try to act as like this conduit to talk about or get people to talk about their lives, because we're in this industry and we're talking transactionally through a bar. It's like, how you doing, sir? How was your day? But at the end of the day, there's much more to us. And maybe that's the only reason I do.
Your podcast specifically kind of reminded me of like when we used to close up the bar.
Yeah.
And every now and again, like a distiller would be hanging out, or like a cop or a rock star or something. And that's when kind of like gloves are off. You're done smiling politely because that's your job.
Right.
And not that we didn't enjoy smiling politely, but like that sort of thing. It's like, all right, the phony baloney bullshit's over. We can have a drink, we can hang out, and we can talk just straight dope.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
that's what
so
it should be,
important.
right?
Yeah.
It's cathartic for both of us. Now maybe I don't know. I think there's this kind of empathy thing that's missing right now. Like, God, there's so much we could talk about. We could talk about politics. We could talk about music, but empathy is key because we're different, right? You're from Chicago. I'm from Austin. We're actually the same age, I think, but we got different stories and we got different opinions on shit. And I'm not gonna hate you because we disagree.
Oh yeah, totally. That's what I've noticed. Actually, right after the election cycle happened, not to state allegiances one way or the other.
No, it doesn't even matter. Yeah.
I deleted all my social media accounts.
Did you really?
I came back to it. I use it a lot through work. It's really handy. This is a great example of keeping in touch with people across the country.
Virtual black book of sorts,
yeah, it totally is, man. And it's extremely powerful that way. But, you know, it's so disenfranchising. You see, if you just go through your Facebook feed, and of course, all of that is SEO developed through what you shop for, things like that. I mean, when people freak out, it's like, well, what do you think it was for? Like, that's part of it. Yeah. And it's smart. You know, it doesn't freak me out. You want to read my emails, go for it. I don't care. But it was strange to see, like, going through the feeds. It seemed like the end of the world.
It did.
But then you go outside, and it's like birds are chirping.
Right.
The weather is being weather. And, like, nobody was actually really talking about it. You know, it was very strange because we're all so sensitive right now.
But it's sensitive here as I make the, I'm just, like I'm on a phone, right?
Yeah.
That's where we're sensitive. But right here, this is where we can get it out.
Oh, yeah, and it's great. You know, it's genuine. I think people are becoming a little more socially media responsible.
Yeah. You think so? I hope that's true.
I hope so. I hope is fear, as they say. But it's one of those things that, like, if it doesn't, then what good does it do?
Yeah.
You know, we're becoming so scared to say and do anything because somebody might be offended or whatever.
Oh my God, it's horrible.
You know, and like not too long ago, like I'm sitting there with one of my friends and I just like out of nowhere, and there's a couple of whiskeys involved. I've known this dude forever.
Right.
I'm like, what's it like being black?
That's a fair question.
Just ask that, just like that. He's
That's
like,
a fair fucking question.
And I'm like, and immediately my reaction was like, I don't mean to offend you. He's like, no, not at all. He's like, it's like nobody's ever asked me that.
How does it feel to have bad eyesight?
Yeah,
you're wearing glasses. Like, okay, like
yeah, exactly. And we were familiar enough, we were friends enough that I could do that, and it just led to just like this great just series of conversations that wasn't recorded, it wasn't being typed out, it wasn't news or updates or emojis or thumbs up if this is fine.
Yeah.
It was so organic, and I think that's what people want again. I think
so too. I think that's why vinyl's on the upswing, actually.
Oh, thank God for that.
Yeah. I think it is because they want to take something personally and connect with it again.
Oh, totally. Right? And like the record guys throwing in those like digital download codes and things like that. I first started seeing that a couple years ago. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
Now I only have to buy this once.
That's exactly right. We're craving something. We're craving a connection with something.
Sure.
You know, whether it is art, whether it's music, or God forbid, each other.
Yeah.
Communities, right? Which kind of begs the question, it sounds like, so I do a little bit of research before I talk to everybody. And so you're a whiskey guy. You're born and raised Chicagoan. Is that fair?
Yeah.
So it sounds like early on for you, you got this cool duality, right? So you're an artist, but yet you're a man of the people. You talk to people. You're part of the hospitality industry.
I love it.
Yeah.
I actually did a mural of Joe Strummer. It wasn't right when he died. It was a couple years after. Yeah. And the bar that I worked at, Delilah, is in Chicago. Every year for Joe Strummer's birthday, we'd spin Joe Strummer records, and sometimes there'd be artwork up. And I asked my boss, and he's like, "Hey, that gangway door?" I'm like, and we're huge Clash fans.
Yeah,
Strummer, when Strummer passed away, and I typically deal with, somebody passing privately. I'm not one of those wailing widows who does the thing. I remember that, and then the Redemption Song video came on.
Oh, man.
And I cried. I mean, I just straight up cried. And I was 22 at the time.
Yeah.
just anger got me through everything, and piss and vinegar. And I was like, Jesus Christ.
What is it about? And I respect the Clash profoundly. I mean, they did so many multi-genre things. We're talking about that, but for you, how did you connect with the Clash? Why was it so moving for you?
That video is what inspired me to do that mural.
Yeah.
And it was one of the last interviews Strummer did that he goes on about this spiel, and there's metaphors all over the place because that's just how he talked. And he said, without people, you're nothing. And that just really stuck out. And definitely as I got further and further into the hospitality career, it's true. And it's become really, really apparent with how much I travel that, man, we all know each other. We maybe not directly, but it's like that 6 degrees thing.
Yeah.
Like, we all know each other, and if we just talk and hang out and do that, then like we all know each other, man.
I think this is going to be a theme in this chat, actually. Talking
Probably.
to each other as we're it's like a bubble within a bubble, right?
Marty Duffy, very much like my big brother in the industry. I respect him greatly. He's been a great sounding board. He's a big brother, mentor sort of thing, especially when I started segueing away from bartending. David Perkins. Man, I love David. I always thought of him as like Woody from Toy Story because he's like kind of long. He's kind of like long and gangly.
He's like,
and he just gets fired up. Yeah. His arms start moving all over the place.
He does have the approachability of a Tom Hanks. If you think of it, he does.
And he's just super energetic. And like Katie Class that you had on, I had an event with her last night with the USBG people in Austin, which is a relationship that I love developing. Just things like that, and not being sinister about it too.
Yeah, well, or ulterior, right? Like having these weird motives. Is that what you mean, or just sinister is pretty? You can dark,
see that. Right? Part of my role as an ambassador, people ask me all the time what my job is, and for one thing, I don't shut off. Always working, which is I'm happy to do. If I work for somebody, I always see myself as a face of that company or whatever.
Part of the brand.
Yeah, totally. So we have our computer stuff that we have to do, our office time and research and development and PowerPoints and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
But we're out a lot too. We go out. We drum up direct sales for sure. That's something that I've been working really hard on developing personally because I'm very bad. I was very bad at it. I can sit and bullshit with whiskey all night.
Right.
But I've always had a hard time asking people for things.
Got it.
In any circumstance, not just in whiskey.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And getting better at that, but also like just nerding out about things, hanging out with folks. The couple places I've been to in Austin so far on my trip, they're like, oh, well, so-and-so. And I'm like, yes. Yeah, of course.
The world is as small.
Happens, man.
Yeah, it does. It's a nice serendipity.
Yeah, and some of my best experiences, both professionally and creatively, are experiences that I let happen.
Yeah.
Don't fight it. Like, go with your guts. Like, that sort of thing. Like, I did a gallery opening during Jazz Fest in New Orleans on a whim.
Really?
Because somebody asked me to do it. I'm like, yeah, of course.
And
I sold a whole bunch of stuff. I made a ton of money. It was great. I mean, not a ton, but
some
I sold
is
everything.
Good. Yeah,
this is great. And that scared little voice, though, came out. You're just like, oh, man, that's pretty scary. How am I going to get all that stuff down there? I don't know anybody at this gallery. I didn't really know a lot of people in New Orleans. But I'm like, you know what? Like, why not just roll with it, man? And see what happens.
Why not do it?
Because none of us know what we're doing. That's the big key, is that none of us know what we're doing. We're all just trying to figure it out.
Yeah. But that's where everything exciting comes in. That's where the journey begins, yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
So let's go back a little bit. I was regaled with you mentioning a tale of having to remove your shoe and thusly paint it, and that was your first exposure to art, or the first exposure to drawing. And I imagine you were pretty young at this point. So when
it was 5th grade.
Yeah. 5th grade. Yeah, so pretty young, right?
Yeah. I was the new kid in school. My parents had just bought their first home. And they moved us. It was like a neighborhood over, so it may as well have been 100 miles away.
Oh,
we're 5th grade, we didn't have cars, and
gotcha.
Public trans was problematic and things like that. we sat in a classroom, and I'm really shy, believe it or not. That's
I
something
don't believe it.
that's something that I've worked on.
Yeah.
That I challenge myself with is that I'm perfectly happy hanging out in small groups, keeping to myself, like things like that. And that's something I've taken away from not bartending anymore. It's like, no, go out there. It's scary.
You might
like,
lose your chops if you don't, right?
But it's a rush.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's that built-in adrenaline thing. In 5th grade, we had one of my teacher, Mrs. Cutt. Not to, hopefully that comes off well on the podcast.
Mrs. Cutt, yeah.
Cutt. Great woman. She's like, okay, we're going to do a project today. Take out a piece of paper, and we're going to do a style of drawing called contour drawing.
Contour, okay. Which
is where you put once you put your pen or pencil or thing to the paper, that you just draw one continuous line.
Got it, okay.
So I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's really challenging. And I had on these awful LA Gear high tops.
You told me they were
two types of laces in it.
I love those shoes.
Oh my God, they were the most awful looking things in the world. But I loved them.
Yeah.
Because it was
fucking LA Gear.
Yeah,
that was the
late
shit.
80s, early 90s. That's just, who cares? Did that, and it ended up like everybody loved it. My principal, like I got called into the principal's office, and I'm like, of course, I'm like shitting kittens that I'm like, I'm in trouble, but I didn't do anything, so I'm freaking out. And he's like, we want to put this up in the hallway. I'm like, oh, well, okay, that's cool. Yeah. And I liked it, though. I kind of wanted to keep it, because like that's the problem with like artwork. It's like, oh, I like that. And then you have to part with it. And it's
you make a connection to it.
Yeah, you learn to break that really fast.
Especially when you're trying to sell it. It's hard to do it like a co-opt thing.
Oh, yeah. And what do I charge for it? Yeah. Like that sort of thing. Like, I don't know, $50. Like, okay, well, you should charge more. I'm like, well, okay, next time, whatever.
But so did you find that, so this artistic kind of proclivity, was this something, were your parents artistic?
My mom and dad are very creative, very subversively. My dad, I remember when I was really young, I found some of his sketchbooks, and he was pen and ink, like landscape, things like that. Yeah. He was tooling around with like MC Escher, like type things, like and I remember that very profoundly, like finding that.
Yeah.
Is
he from Chicago as well? Or
he was actually born in Germany.
Really?
He came over with my Oma when he was very young. He was born in 52. I think they came over in 57.
Okay.
And it always like made me really sad that like we had guitars in the house growing up, and I never saw him play, and I never saw him draw, and I never saw him like create anything.
Really?
And it was actually a friend of mine had some people over, probably 10 years ago now. Mm-hmm. I remember sitting out in my house, like hanging out, drinking, and this woman I know, this musician that I know, is hanging out, and she found one of my sketchbooks. And she started looking through it, and it was just like doodling, like comic book style stuff, photorealism, whatever. And like she started crying. And of course, like I was like, I hate seeing people cry. Like I get upset. I'm like, oh, like okay, I'll like dance or something. I'll get the kid
shine
to
your
laugh.
shoes. What am I gonna do?
Totally. And I asked her why she was so upset, and she said it. And she's like, I see you with so much talent, and you don't use it, and it breaks my heart. What? Right? Seriously, and I was like, okay, like
not living to your potential.
And I was like, well, how do you deal with that?
Yeah.
And that's when I kind of just started to do it.
So you're saying this is just 10 years ago?
Yeah.
So you're mid-20s then at that point, yeah? Early to mid-20s?
Yeah, mid-20s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that you went all that time without truly going for it? Is that
not
fair?
Really?
No.
And I kind of don't still. I look for opportunities, but I'm still trying to master my role with being a brand ambassador for Redemption.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like for Christmas last year, I painted a picture of my wife holding my dog because it was just a great picture.
Yeah.
I did a co-op gallery where I built a couple of Adirondack chairs out of whiskey barrels.
No kidding.
Just took it apart. I'm like, I looked at it, and I'm like, I can't explain it. It just happens that I looked at it, I'm like, I bet you I could do something really cool with that. And I thought of a chair, and I'm like, I built one. My wife sat in it. It broke all over the place. She felt horrible.
She was all right.
And she's like, 5'2", 110 pounds.
Okay, there you go.
I mean, or whatever weight she wants to call herself these days.
That part I'll have to edit out.
Yeah, beep. 7-second delay. Hot take.
But you see things like that? Okay, so it's really interesting because in a way you're passively artistic. It just flows through you, I get the sense, right? And
it's balance, I guess.
You think it's balance?
Yeah. Like being kind of just organic. Even like when working, developing relationships.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing. Like I'm a little cautious about a lot of things. I like figuring things out before I really go with it.
Okay.
Like the creative side of me though is just like just do it until
Just
you
do
figure
it.
it out.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah,
it's the opposite.
It's like a meditation almost.
Yeah.
You know, like it's I never drink when I'm painting or writing or
Really?
anything like that. No, I don't want to.
You realize that's the opposite of what.
Yeah, no, I don't want to be like Hemingway. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
I got to drink to paint something, and that's just something that's very specifically I've disconnected.
Yeah.
Because I don't want those two to be paired. I enjoy both of them separately.
Yeah.
And I've tried, and it's shit. I tried to paint something once when I was
Just
drinking.
work's not
It was
as good?
Garbage. Yeah.
Really? So you will never be a tortured artist then, which is probably good for your wife's sake.
Yeah,
You guys can be
probably.
insufferable bastards.
Yeah. I don't. I tried to. I tried to paint something once that I was drinking, or when I was drinking, and it wasn't like all messed up and like
Right.
seeing green fairies after drinking absinthe or whatever. It's like, no, it just didn't work.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a very weird process. I don't know. Everybody's got their thing.
Yeah, I
guess.
like that though. It is about that process and the creative, like you said, the creative process for people is it's always different.
Sure.
You want to get in that dark place sometimes, but then when you become an adult, you're like, I can't be a fucking sad bastard all the time.
Yeah. No, it's
hard. It's real.
Like reading
tough.
Catcher in the Rye when you're 30, you're just shut up. Like Jesus, Holden. Like it's not that bad, dude.
You're 30 fucking years old. Just like move on. Like
Yeah.
find love, be romantic. It's fine.
And that's what makes it real for me too.
Yeah.
I built like an old English motorcycle a couple years ago, like a factory or period correct, like English cafe racer. Mm-hmm. And I was down at a friend of mine's garage. We're all part of this co-op collective sort of thing. And there was always like musicians hanging out. We're drinking shitty beer, having too many cigarettes and just doing all night. I mean, to me, I was like, yeah, like the rest of the world just kind of shut off a little bit. Mm-hmm. And when you see something, you see what it can be, trying to figure out how to make that happen works. And it feels really good. It's kind of like that, like when I paint, it's like, oh, like, I like that. And it's like a challenge almost.
Yeah.
Like, how can I make that as beautiful in my mind, like on a piece of paper or canvas or something?
Right.
And to me, that takes an extraordinary amount of focus, which I typically don't have. I'm a little all over the place, mostly.
Yeah. No, I think that's a beautiful way to put it. Like you see the opportunity in creating something beautiful instead of seeing the barriers and the obstacles and not starting at all.
Yeah, it's again being kind of just a naturally shy person. Working in a bar for so long definitely helped me get over that.
Yeah.
But just like leaving something, that's why I like doing murals. I did one of Shane McGowan in my friend's tattoo shop. And like these guys, like I didn't get paid for any of these. I just wanted to do it. And just seeing that and like walking me, I'm like, oh, I like that. I mean, like that wouldn't be there if I didn't do it. That sort of thing,
cool.
And it's whatever you make, whatever you put into the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really prideful craftsmanship sort of thing.
Sure. But it sounds like you're doing it for the right reasons. So if we step back a little bit and we think about this creative juice, this bloodline that's running through you, were you ever kind of faced, let's say like when you're wrapping high school up, obviously you're still a creative, you can't stop it, you can't turn it off being creative, right? You just can't.
Yeah.
Were you faced with, well, I got to go to business school now? Did you have one of those dichotomies?
Yeah. I thought about going to art school. It's really expensive.
Yeah.
That might be a whole other conversation about education, but that's something we don't have to get into right now for sure. But art school is really expensive. When I was heading out of high school, I got accepted into, I'm not sure the school exists anymore, but they were actually doing a co-op thing it's 2 years of formal education. Then they did cooperative program depending on what you wanted to study.
Right.
And I got accepted into a program with Marvel Comics.
Oh, shit, really?
Right. And,
this is before it was like a household name
and I was
thing.
like, I look back at that still, and I just like bite my finger, like, ah, damn it. Like, but it was really expensive. And being, I fell into that middle income type of family, tax bracket, single, Anglo-Saxon, white, Caucasian, whatever we're calling ourselves nowadays, that sort of thing. There wasn't a lot of scholarship opportunities, especially with this kind of school, but with any others as well. So I followed a girl down to school, actually. I spent 2 years at Western Illinois, Scenic Macomb, which is just, I learned how to drink there, which says a lot about the college.
The only thing to do.
Not much else to do in Macomb, Illinois, even though like Alkaline Trio would come and play through every now and again, which was really cool.
That's even more reason to drink.
Yeah, Jesus, right? Driving 20-something-year-old punk rock kids to drink, that's hard.
Still not hard as like approaching 40-year-old.
I rapidly gave up on education.
Was it ever interesting to you?
Sure, absolutely. But I mean, everything's interesting.
Yeah.
It's proving enough that you're interested.
Right.
I don't know. I saw my tenure at Delilah's for sure. I see as getting my education in whiskey.
Got it.
Being there a long time, 12 years plus. But I started at the door. It was an apprenticeship too. Started at the door. I was part-time, picked up more shifts, eventually got the bar back, and just eventually was one of the kind of senior bartenders over there. We didn't have like head bartenders or bev directors or chief mixologist extraordinaire or whatever. We were just there for a long time, and with that came experience.
Well, what did that transition? So again, there's this duality. We keep talking about this, but there's always the people element.
Sure.
You follow a girl to school in Western Illinois. We all do that shit. That's what I did.
Yeah, and we're still friends. She's very dear to me.
That's the part of the story that you don't often hear, is that you guys are still good.
It took a while, but it was it was one of those things that, like, the long distance thing. And I'm not long distance guy.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I do travel a fair amount, but my company is really good about not burning us out.
Got it.
Because I like
you're
traveling,
married
but
now.
I'm not a road warrior. And I see how some of these guys do it. I'm like, I can't do it.
Man. I mean, putting a strain on your relationship is one of those things, and we can talk about that. But like, that's been really really tough, for a lot of folks in the industry.
No, and I absolutely refuse to surrender having anything affect my relationships, whether it's a friendship or family or spouse, that sort of thing.
Really,
we've
really
all seen the troubles and turmoils that people get into. I don't think it's the industry. I think it's just
people, man.
It's a way of that manifesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that stuff always weighs really heavy.
I bet. How did you get into hospitality then? Was it just an afterthought? Was it something that you had ever thought about doing?
No, it just sort of happened.
Yeah.
I like planning what I can plan, and otherwise just kind of just rolling with it. Set your internal thermostat at 72 degrees. You're just going to be a lot happier with everything. Not to sound like a hippie, Jesus.
Well, you're German. I mean, at least neo new wave or some shit.
Yeah. I don't really like techno music either, so that doesn't work. It just happened. I was an electrician at the time.
Electrician?
Yeah.
So the electrician thing and the radio thing, these are things you just did right before you...
Oh, yeah. It's I was actually... How I kind of got into the industry was I worked for Wild Oats, which was bought out by Whole Foods.
Okay.
And I was a beer and wine buyer for one of their stores. As well as, I mean, this company was crazy, and I'm not shocked at all. It was just completely destroyed.
Right.
Like I was beer and wine buyer. I was in grocery. I was one of the bakery and food service supervisors. I mean, I was wearing 7 hats a day, and I was working all the time, and ended up getting fired by them because I had to be there at like 5 a.m. I was living in the city, and this was in the suburbs. I had to be there at 5 a.m. to do the bakery stuff and get the coffee and juice bar going and things. And I was late like 3 times in a month by like a couple of minutes.
Right.
It wasn't like, oh, 6:30, shit, sorry, I completely shit the bed, whatever. Like, pretty small.
Damn.
And they're like, yeah, we got to let you go. I'm like, okay, well, I'm in my early 20s. Like, I don't have a map, I guess.
Right.
I didn't wake up one day and be like, oh, I want to be bartender or brand ambassador. I'm like, oh, it seems like it could be cool for a while.
Yeah.
So do it until you want to stop and then move on. I mean,
Right.
the world keeps turning, I promise. And my uncle hired me in as like an electrician's apprentice. Did that for a couple of years. As I started taking on more bar shifts, started getting more and more late to work because that culture, working late nights and things like that. Basically, this is kind of a recurring theme. I'm not very effective in the morning.
I'm glad this is in the evening.
Yeah, no, I like the nighttime. I am typically up by 8:30, 9 o'clock every morning. Because that's like the golden hour where I can get stuff done before my wife starts scuttling around and get distracted by things or whatever. And it just kind of seemed like a natural progress. I've had some retail experience, and just started bartending. I'm like, oh, why fight it?
Did you, growing up, was there booze around? Did your folks drink, or was it pretty subdued? Or
my dad quit drinking when I was 18, 19. He struggled with alcoholism for sure. I don't think he has capabilities to listen to this, so I think I can say that without worrying. So he quit drinking. I was extremely proud of him about that. He was a smoker growing up too, and he just quit. I asked him one day, I'm like, Dad, why do you smoke? And he's like, I don't know. And he threw the pack out the window, and he just never smoked again. Just like that. I'm like, you asshole. Like, I'm a smoker, and I struggle with it. I want to quit. And, that's kind of what I keep that as a reminder for me.
Is it something that kind of looms over you? The prospect that potentially... No,
it's keeping it in control. I mean, sometimes we all drink too much, and that happens. But I'm not like a violent person. I'm not combative or anything like that. I mean, I'll get drunk and rowdy sometimes, I guess. But it's a reminder for me that, hey, don't let it get on top of you too much, or at least keep yourself somewhat composed. Like that's especially with this job. Like I can't be like drunk and starting fights. I'd be fighting really quick. So it's a constant reminder for sure. I keep that with me a lot.
So it built momentum. Alcohol, you stumbled into it, right? So you're kind of around food, you're in bakery and shit. I mean, it's a
very appropriate way to put it.
Well, we stumble into shit all the time, And but then it starts. It breaks away from the other professions for you. It's like this is the thing that kind of resonates, and I'll just keep doing it. I'll keep doing it. Sure. And then the Delilah's piece. How far along were you when you kind of started working the door there? Was it really early on in your exposure in the hospitality industry?
Oh yeah, that was Delilah's. I've worked in one other bar.
Oh really? Ever. So that's really early for you. Okay.
Yeah. So that was really the beginning of hospitality for sure.
Got it.
And getting into that whole thing. When I started doing it, I mean, I was like wearing a sweater to work. I was a nerd. You know what I mean? Right. And like all of a sudden, I became more confident. And, throughout my 20s, I was like, became more confident with expression and with people and things like that. And it was just really, it helped me blossom a lot,
What, for those of us who aren't in Chicago but have absolutely heard of Delilah's, it is a whiskey mecca. Is that an understatement?
Yeah, for sure. It's weird. Like now we're in the era of like restaurant groups,
right?
And concepts and things like that. Granted, most of that has to happen because the industry has become so fucking expensive to actually start your own thing, especially in Chicago. It's extremely difficult and it's extremely costly. In 1993, I think Mike and some other people, a few other people, I'm not sure exactly how many, opened it for basically the price of like a modern car, like a modest car, excuse me. So it wasn't expensive.
Wow.
They got a bunch of friends together and they did it. And it, like a lot of these dive bars and whatever they're being called, these are all born out of function. Most of these bars are held together by duct tape, bubble gum, and a prayer.
They're gigging bars.
Yeah, for
Really.
sure. I mean, it's trench warfare for sure.
Yeah.
And it's tough. That's one thing that doesn't get talked about a lot in the industry either, is just how tough it is. My family and my friends have always supported me. I'm super fortunate that way. Probably because they saw how much I struggled with education and things of that nature. Like, oh, well, Jesus, he's good at it. Well, let's just let him go until he fucks it up or whatever, like I usually do. Up until then, anyway, until I was in the industry, that's how I did things. I would kind of do it until I got bored and would fuck it up.
Right.
And this is just so fascinating to me. I mean, it's held my attention for most of my adult life.
That's a brilliant thing.
Yeah,
You found your thing.
Yeah, I'm like, that's great. Like, it's a relief, actually.
Well, yeah, because whiskey is interesting because it is so multicultural. It's so sensory driven, right?
It's a romantic spirit.
It
for
totally
sure.
is. So I think that in a lot of ways, the composition of it can appeal to your project kind of puzzle solving mind. But at the same time, you've got, this is how this tastes because it smells like this in the area. This is how the water tastes, and this is why the whiskey comes out this way.
Oh, sure.
So much stuff to it, you know?
Sure. That's where, before I took a job with Redemption, I was at the Beverage Testing Institute. Mm-hmm. I've known the director over there, Gerald O'Kennard, for a long time. And, I mean, if there's an encyclopedia for spirits and anything alcohol, this guy knows it. And I got hired there, I want to say at least partially because I stumped him.
Really?
His whiskey laws, part of the whole interview process, I'm like, whiskey laws, a lot of people say barrels.
Okay.
That they have to be stored in charred new American oak barrels, and that's not. It's actually containers.
Containers, okay.
And just like that minutia thing. I don't know why that always stood out to me. I'm like, but everybody says barrels, and it doesn't have to. It could be like a horse or something, you know, like a wooden horse, whatever. And he's like, well, and he stopped the interview, and he went to look it up, and he's like, he's right.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, yeah. He's like, wow. He's like, that's really impressive. I'm like, oh, okay.
And you're like,
spending a year there. Yeah, seriously. but working there, our tasting methodology that we do, that we developed over I think BTI has been a thing for like 35 years, I want to say.
Wow.
Long time. Developing like tasting methodologies, you're blind tasting, you know what category and what proof it is. Right. But you remove all the other labeling, bottle shapes, sizes, whatever other bullshit that they put on the label.
Sure.
That's really
inconsequential. It can mislead you and change the way you taste it.
Yeah,
you know?
and it's stressful. It's really stressful that you have to just taste something and be like, oh, well, this isn't. I don't know that this is the Henry Van Winkler Fonzie Reserve whiskey. I don't know what this is, but it's fantastic.
Hey.
Yeah,
Sorry.
And like going through that and seeing what notes people would pull out, whether it's beer, wine, whiskey, spirits, whatever. And it was cool to like see people like bolster their confidence, and I love that. Drink what you want, you know, like don't buy into labeling, don't buy into hype. Drink what you want, and that's what's the most important, I guess.
Yeah, I think so.
And being confident in that. I mean, we all fall for marketing bullshit.
Oh, I know, and it's like good design. I'm a sucker for that. So if I see something that's got great design on it, I'll be like, "Ooh, this is gonna taste good," and it already gets favorable bias because I like
for sure.
I like great bottle design, good label work, all that bullshit. So when it comes down to your palate, well, actually, first, were you still bartending when you took the gig with the Beverage Tasting Institute?
That's kind of what segued me more away from bartending.
Got it. Okay.
I helped open up kind of a cocktail concept in the West Loop in Chicago. And I won't say which one it was because I don't want to talk badly about that, but I fucking hated it.
Okay.
I learned a lot of like technical bartending skills, which is great.
Right.
But that's kind of was like, I don't think I should be bartending anymore.
Got it.
Like I was tired and I was starting to become bitter a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I hear
okay.
that.
I'm like, maybe I need to move on to something. And sure enough, like getting married, I'm like, well, kicked in, you know, I'm like, well, we want to buy a house. We want to start the tribe pretty soon, like that whole thing.
Yeah.
So all these things were like, I need to figure this out. And my wife, who's a spirits buyer in Chicago as well, I'm like, you take this and run because you're a woman in whiskey and that's way more important. Like
Absolutely.
Whiskey needs women.
Yeah,
and there's very few of them, which always kind of bums me out. And went over to BTI. I still bartended like a couple times a week at Delilah's, but that came to a close as well.
So it was a full transition, I think, for good reason.
Yeah, it was weird. I thought I would miss it more than I do.
Well, I think once you throw the word bitter out there, it's probably okay to depart.
No, it's my Delilah's. They're family to me.
Yeah.
I spent a large amount of time with those people. They're very important to me, and they always will be. Like, we hang out, like we're genuine friends.
Yeah,
like the weird thing about not bartending anymore is like, oh, like I don't get you drunk anymore, so like I don't see you, and that's it. Like that's a bitter way to look at it, and I'm not like that. Well, how many friends do I actually have now?
That's a great point.
Weird. It's been weird to figure out,
dude.
Like, really
totally.
Weird.
If you could get lunch with someone and drink coffee, and then spend 2 hours talking, then those are the people that are the friends.
Yeah, totally.
Right? But if you only hang out when one of you is behind the bar, it's a different dynamic.
Yeah, and it is.
It totally is, and you have to kind of start taking inventory in a sense and say, I've got great pool of friends, but who's coming to the wedding? Who can I invite over to the house to hang out with and watch? You know what I mean? Like, it's really strange, that dichotomy there.
And pulling away from bartending, like while I was at BTI, just because I was there so much that most of my shifts were opening bartender shifts, so I couldn't do both. And it really, like, I think my work over there really suffered because it was tremendously interesting work. But it was just like, right off that transitional period.
Yeah.
So I think I was just like, for one thing, it was in an office and it was really interesting, but I'm like I would find myself taking boredom poops. You know what these are? I invented them, maybe. But like where you're sitting at a desk all day and you're just like, I'm restless. I'm going
gotta
from
find a reason to get
12 years of being on my feet for work. 12 plus. I mean, being a tradesman too. You know? I mean, just like I'm used to going home physically tired. And then like sitting in an office all day. Like I would just like get up and just go to the bathroom and just like walk down the hall and just not like waste time.
No,
but I know my
you were
break.
trying to find something else to do away from the desk.
And it's like, well, I've been here like, you know, I know my labor laws and what kind of breaks I'm allowed to take and what's paid for and what's not and all that. So I'm like, I've been here a couple hours. I'm like, I'm going to take a boredom poop.
Couple cups of coffee. It's
coffee
time.
Definitely. Organic coffee for some reason too. That's like grass through a goose with me. I don't know what it is.
I don't know yet, but that's a brilliant. I do the same thing. Like I'm just going to drink a whole bunch of water, so I have to piss every 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Just so I can get away from my desk.
And walk around. It was just one of those things that like.
What's a weird transition that is?
It was totally. I was really excited about it because it was a new thing that I get to learn about. But the transition was just so shocking to me that, you know, like I was pretty depressed for a while. I stepped away from like being the rock star bartender and like putting on the
being
show
on stage,
and flipping records and knowing everybody and being invited to all this cool shit to like being the office guy. That I learned a lot. It developed me professionally quite a bit. But just dealing with that big transition and one of the many reasons I love my wife is that she put up with me. And she was just like, well, eventually she's like, get your head out of your ass and do something then.
Right.
And if you met my wife, you don't, that's exactly what she said. It's just little.
You said she's 5'2". My wife's like 5'5".
Mouth like a trucker. She's a total bulldog. It's
amazing.
awesome. She's kind of exactly the woman I need.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And the opportunity came up through Marty Duffy, actually, that to work with Redemption. And I was like, yeah, perfect.
Because like lining things up. So you have what is ultra, like basically you have the academic knowledge because you were in the beverage tasting, you're behind a desk.
Oh, for sure. I'm like, wait, you want me to talk about 3 whiskeys now? Like, no problem. Like, as opposed to like 800 potentially. I was like, yeah, I can talk about 3 whiskeys. Let's go.
So now, because like now you get to tour again. You get the band back together. You get to go. You had the happy hour at Friedman's yesterday for USBG, which means you get to talk a bit, you get to educate, get to connect, you get to travel, and you still kind of can keep regular business hours. So you can have a great relationship. You know?
For sure.
So how long have you been doing the Redemption piece now?
It was just before my birthday.
March?
So March. I think it was like late February, I want to say.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we're almost upon a year.
Yeah, it's been really strange in a really cool way because I'm figuring it out.
Yeah.
You know, and seeing what other people do, especially my counterparts, one of whom is super into the cocktail scene, and he's super knowledgeable. He's excited about it. He there's a question, he can answer it for you, and if he can't, he'll find out. Whereas I'm not. I'm more of just like technical whiskey guy. I love learning about the cocktail culture, and especially down here in Austin. Like you guys have a nice
great.
scene.
A lot of cool people.
And it's not pretentious. Some cocktail places can just be like, lighten up, Francis. Like you're getting people drunk. Like, come on. Or not
curing
drunk,
cancer.
That's seriously, dude. It's like you're not.
It's not that big a fucking deal.
Well, yeah.
Well,
it's that's what brought me through the Looking Glass was like my 10-year high school reunion. Like people were always asking, and I almost didn't go. But they were like, "Oh, so what do you do?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm a bartender." Like, "Oh, is that it?" And it bummed me out. It's that old thing.
Yeah, dude,
like,
I know.
Oh, fuck, man. I'm like, Then I looked at him like, well, you're a CPA.
Yeah. Real exciting.
You're a lawyer, great. And like I pulled up on a vintage English motorcycle that I built by hand, and I realized I'm like, well, I provide people with what they look forward to doing all day.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of rad.
It's pretty rad.
Yeah. And
you've like operationalized that if you think about it.
Kind of. And it's all about how you look at it too.
Yeah.
What I've seen you see like are you familiar with the term star tender?
Oh, sure.
Like from like the 90s and 80s almost, where like these star tenders were like super famous, like blah blah blah, they're rock star, whatever.
Right.
And I almost see that coming back a little bit.
I think it's come back.
It's really weird because like I wish and maybe there's literature out there, maybe I'm just not looking in the right spots, but like it sucks like a lot to bartend sometimes. I mean, you're getting your ass kicked, you're getting covered in all sorts of weird shit.
Sticky,
you're tired.
Smokies. Yeah.
There's always the substance abuse risk, whether it's drinking or other.
Yeah.
Weird hours. You have to surrender weekends pretty much indefinitely.
Sure.
Sacrificing normal relationships, whether romantically or otherwise.
Totally, yeah.
And like that doesn't really get talked about, and it kind of bums me out.
No, I think it's a great point, and we're starting to talk about it more.
Yeah, totally.
People are putting their bodies they're basically crucifying themselves for this industry.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy, it's so accessible. You can get drugs, you can get drinks. And but you give up everything. You give up your health, you give up your relationships, and then that only means that your life expectancy is going to drop drastically.
Sure, and I don't think it's the industry that does that.
No, sure.
I think it's latent within certain people.
I think
and that comes out sometimes with proper facilitation.
Right.
But you see like these bartender competitions that are they're fucking everywhere now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's
every
like,
brand, every different thing, every city, all of it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like Kenosha, Wisconsin has a cocktail week now.
Cheese curds being the ingredient.
Oh yeah.
Just strange, but
cheese curd toddies are the best. God, that's gross.
I don't know, man. It kind of sounds good.
Well, and then like you see like guys like Charles Joly, who I respect and admire greatly. He's done a lot. I mean, especially my beloved Chicago.
Sure.
But like guys like that, and these brands that even put on these contests to like bartender of the year or so and so ambassador or Tales of the Cocktail, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And these are all great programs, but like they don't really tell the story. You know what I mean? They don't tell the story of like leaving work when the sun's coming up.
Absolutely.
Like that Hey Bartender thing on Netflix. Awesome. It was great because you're just like, man, that kind of two very different people with two very different things going through kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
But the guy at EO, I forget his name. But it's like, yeah, like you feel for him, man.
Yeah.
And it's like, Jesus, that guy, Steve maybe? Yeah.
What is, you're right, but that's how politics are. That's how the media is now.
But like, I'm wondering if like, is this like a chicken and egg thing? Like, is it not being talked about because people don't want to know or don't care? Or is this not being talked about because it's kind of like,
I think
nobody wants to see the pile of wood before the house. They just want to see the house.
But I think that's what it is. No one wants to see the violence and the people dying every day and the blood spilled on the ground, right?
Sure.
In Africa, they don't want to see that.
Yeah.
They don't want to see any of that. They just want to know who's popular and who's getting awards and how can I be a social media darling.
Sure. And I guess that's maybe how I'm creatively looking at. You kind of looked at a whiskey barrel. I'm like, that could be a chair.
Right.
Like, no, that holds whiskey. I'm like, no, it could be a chair.
But
like,
you're
that
going
sort of
down, like, maybe this comes back to what you were saying earlier, where there's this, which is us in person talking, unfiltered. You know, if we want to talk about race, we'll talk about it. Want to talk about politics, we'll talk about it. But
sitting next to a combo still?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sitting next to a combo.
Pot's still, yeah. So I got to, exactly.
Yeah, which is really cool.
PVC pipe, right? There's smells, there's vinegar. We can smell like all this stuff. All this real gritty stuff where things actually get done, which you and I appreciate. Yeah. But at the same time, there is that nice distilled down version that you get on your phone in your hands that just makes it nice and tight and clean. And you can go to bed at night.
Yeah, I suppose maybe asking a bit much, you know.
But maybe that comes with age.
Sure. And when I get asked this sometimes, and it's kind of weird because I get not quite nostalgic, but like kind of retrospective in that, like, wow, like your job's really cool. Like, how do I get that job? Yeah. I'm like, well, it's luck. Most of it. I mean, just like everything, it's timing, lightning strikes, whatever. But also, just making decisions. Just make a choice, man.
Yeah.
If an opportunity comes up and it seems like it's a good fit, great, go for it. If it doesn't work out, that happens too. Like, don't worry about it so much. Like,
no, totally. Just go. You're right.
Like, how do I be that? Like, don't think of it that way. And I guess that's kind of where I don't like being like kind of not having a map, I guess.
Have you heard the term paralysis by analysis? That is my favorite term.
No, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Right? Where it's like you just thinking it, you go through every scenario, just fucking do the thing. Just go with your gut, like you said.
Yeah.
Right? Just do it. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But don't think about it so much that you don't move forward.
Yeah, totally. It can cripple you, and it can lead you to bad things. Definitely. Towards the end of my bartending career, like started getting bitter a little bit. Started drinking a lot.
Yeah,
and I was like, I need to do something else. I didn't know what to do. I'm an uneducated guy that. I'm tall and I can work hard, so I can reach things and throw things far
You're
if you need that. Yeah,
that's
I'm bad knees from soccer, but other than that, I'm pretty good. And it's just about making those decisions. Like, well, I don't know. And the BTI thing came up, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll try that. But it didn't work out.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
But it was
a bit
only
of a black eye from that. But
yeah, but it was only because this was supposed to work out. It was to give you this opportunity.
I'd like to think so.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think that's why we meet the loves of our lives. I think that's why we get into businesses that end up really defining a piece of our life.
Oh, sure. And look at the brewing community, the distilling community, all of that. These are all lawyers and
I know it, dude.
Like ex-nuclear physicists. Right. Like there's actually those guys making whiskey right now.
That's why they have
because they didn't want to do what they were doing.
Yeah,
Right. It's like, oh, okay, so you're not the only one. It's just that's what people don't talk about.
Yeah,
which is really weird.
It is because it's kind of the rags to riches story in a sense, or the riches to rags. Actually, it's probably
sure, and that's why things. That's why, like, I love going out and talking with people because that's the story that isn't told unless you're there. Like that's something you have to ask.
Yeah,
like it's something you like share whiskey. Like it might come out.
Yeah, it's good.
Like Marty Duffy and I for sure have had days worth of conversations that wouldn't have happened if we weren't there. And I'm like, how cool is that?
That is so cool.
I don't know.
Serendipity again.
Very serendipitous.
Well, so tell me, we'll talk about, as we kind of wrap up, we'll talk about the San Antonio Cocktail Conference, and you'll be in town again, which is cool.
Yep.
We'll run into each other again. We'll be down there.
Couple of weeks.
But I saw there's a 10-year cast strength rye that you guys just
That
put
was
out?
one that we did a couple years ago.
Okay.
Because we source our whiskeys out of MGP,
right.
So getting those aged barrel proofs aren't always accessible to us.
Yeah.
So it's challenging to say the least. But along with this year's the first one that we did of these. We have 3 different mash bills that we work with. We did 3 barrel proof expressions this year.
Cool.
We did an 8-year rye, a 9-year high rye bourbon, and a 9-year just straight bourbon.
Cool. Wow.
And they all did double gold in San Francisco. Not to get pluggy about it, but
no, I asked
those
in this case, right?
Yeah, like uncut, unfiltered, or they are non-chill filtered.
Yeah.
But like that was actually one of the first things I did with Redemption back in like early March. There was like some craft cocktail or craft distillers conference, And we were sitting there, and like it was the president of the CEO of Deutsch came in, and he had the 3 bottle samples for us, like the barrel samples.
Oh, man.
So we did like the tasting notes like right there, and that was like the first thing I did with these guys. I'm
That's
like, wow,
amazing.
like this is rad. There's like little particles floating in it because they were lab samples.
Yeah, it's
essentially,
amazing.
it wasn't what went to production, but it was like pre-production lab samples,
Yeah.
out of the barrel itself. And those are just more of like the collectible things.
Yeah.
They retail for $90 to $100, depending.
Yeah. I don't think
those
they
are more
made their
like-
way down here. I didn't see many of those.
They are in Texas
Are
for
they?
sure. Yeah, they're super
They
rare.
probably got cut, like all picked
Yeah.
up real quick, I'm sure.
Yeah, they got scooped up pretty quick. But again, like those are you see the other brands that are yearly released. That's kind of our ethos behind it, like our yearly release, more of a connoisseur collectible sort of thing, more rare. Which of course people just go nuts for whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That's rare nowadays. That's like the idea behind that.
That's cool. I like it. And
Yeah.
I'll keep my eyes peeled because I haven't had any older stuff from Redemption.
I
Rye,
know.
I mean, is a staple, right?
Yeah, I was at the Black Heart before
Yeah.
I came down here. Great bar, great whiskey selection. I know they have our 8-year barrel proof rye behind the bar.
Do they really?
Yeah,
Oh, I
it's
gotta go check it out.
122.2 proof on it,
God damn.
but it doesn't drink like it.
Yeah.
That's the dangerous part. Like it could ruin your date. You know, you go there, you're hanging out with a nice, you're out with
Right.
the missus or out with a girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever. You sip it, it's like, oh, that's magic. That's wonderful. It's my baby for
Yeah.
sure. And then you look at the bottle, it's like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Damn
Like,
it.
it's 122 proof. Yeah, so one and done on that.
That'll
maybe,
get
but-
you where you're going more quickly than other things.
Yeah, for sure. It's going a lot faster than our other one.
So as you said, we've got a few weeks until San Antonio Cocktail Conference 2017. A lot of
Yep.
great people coming into town. Guillermo Souza, Mr.
I
Thomas Estes.
I haven't been, but I'm looking forward to it. I've heard
think
nothing but really good things.
It's cool, man.
Yeah.
It's really a chill vibe. I mean, San Antonio is a great place. The cocktail scene is just emerging and turning.
Totally
into,
is. Super fun place. Super fun town to go drink in. And it's pretty compact, too.
Yeah. Good public. I mean, you can get Uber and stuff, and we have things in Austin, but it's such a post Uber
Yeah,
world.
you guys have like one bus and a couple of little electric
know.
trains, don't you?
It's yeah, like electric. They
They make
feel
it
like,
hard for you to get around
It's like
here,
they
and
don't
the
want us
roads
to go
are
downtown.
congested enough.
Oh, yeah.
It's
horrible.
yeah.
But you're going to be presenting. Can I take a guess? Is it going to be about whiskey or something slightly different
yes.
than that?
Kind of what I'm developing still. Just reading like a bunch of literature because just always learning.
Yeah.
I've like read some books about like Dave Wondrich, like Imbibe and Punch, and I'm gonna do like kind of the evolution of the cocktail, a brief history of like where that came from,
Yeah.
coupled with like a whiskey timeline, American whiskey timeline, I should say.
Okay.
And where that came from and how the two just kind of came together. And again, the Redemption label is behind that because our brand is named after the cocktail community, 1860s, 1820s,
Right.
1840s, whatever, the birth of the cocktail movement. Most of them were using rye whiskey in America anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted to just revitalize that prominence of rye. And it's growing like crazy. I mean, it's still a really small portion of whiskey.
Yeah.
But over like the last few years, it's like 400% growth or some crazy shit like that. Nielsen ratings and all that statistical stuff, which is comforting to read, but really fucking boring too.
But you like connecting with the public like that? You like kind of chatting and educating?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't ride a motorcycle anymore and I can't play sports because my knees are shot. So that's kind of a rush. So
Yes,
I'm
there you
definitely
go.
a junkie
The
like
nerves.
that.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a smaller presentation, which I'm totally cool with. But just getting people and just seeing how they react to that.
Yeah.
Starting with like a punch. I'm going to do Sazerac and then go back to an old fashioned.
Cool.
Because I mean, it's the cocktail industry. Like we're not doing anything new, guys.
Yeah.
We're getting back to where it started,
Because it's you,
which is
you
really
always do.
cool. Like look at, cocktails on tap. They're a thing now. Where did that come from? Mostly punch, things like that. Citrus driven, not so boozy, like that sort of thing. And it's very fun to like the more you read, like the more just like, oh, you have those little aha moments. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's all coming back a little bit.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's like, and this is to a far lesser extent, but understanding that MIA used the Clash sample.
Yeah.
Which is like, oh, fuck, that's a Clash song? Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think like what Kanye just did that with like Paul McCartney or some shit, right? Yeah.
It's crazy how it all comes back around like that.
Yeah, totally. And like a part of you is like, oh, how dare you like sample the Clash?
Right.
And then it's like, oh well, okay, get over it. You know,
Yeah.
it's like it's just somebody else.
Whatever brings
using
other
that.
people into it.
Yeah, because
right?
there's nothing new.
No.
It's all just a constant growth on what came before. There's nothing new.
Yeah.
Not to God, it sounds dark, and I don't mean it that way.
No, it's not in a bleak
it's all
way.
creative, additional things happening. You know,
It's just repurposing in a sense some of that stuff.
yeah, for sure.
Well, so I got one last question for you because I don't know what this answer is going to be like at all. I have no idea. Sometimes I get a sense, right?
All right.
But you're at a hotel bar.
Yeah.
And it's at any time period, doesn't matter, right? You could have a drink with any person, living or dead, in history. Who would you like to be sitting right there beside you, engaging in conversation at that bar?
Oh, my dad.
Really?
I never got to have a drink with my dad.
Beautiful, actually.
And it's weird because like we became a lot closer because of it, but I think that's like a bonding thing that I missed out on. Other than that, Joe Strummer for sure.
I knew it.
Beyond sappiness. Yeah, Joe Strummer for sure.
I think there's a lot of people that would want to hang out with Mr. Strummer.
Yeah, like when I did like a kind of a smaller gallery, I like did like a Clash theme thing. Like my parents, that shot of the Clash on the roof in New York City, where Strummer's got like the thing, it's extra Clash Invade New York shirt on. I painted that, like a rendition of it, and my parents bought it at the gallery I was at.
Oh, that's great.
And they hung it in their dining room.
Oh,
like this beautiful dining room, like in suburban Chicago.
Yeah.
That has like a picture, like a painting of the Clash that I did. I'm like, oh, I see that, I get a charge out of it, you know.
That's killer, man. Well, it's good. It's really been brilliant chatting with you and kind of talking about art and talking about music and booze. And it'll be great to see you in San Antonio.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
No,
Texas is really cool. I'm super fortunate to come down here as much as I do.
It's great, dude. Thanks so much for chatting with me, Eric.
You're welcome.
Soon, dude. Thank you. Well, there we have it. A great chat with Mr. Eric Rosentreter of Chicago of Redemption Whiskey. I'm looking forward to catching his class about the classic cocktails and the application of rye whiskey in those. I think he's still kind of putting together some details, but it'll be a very interactive, educational, and fun experience with Mr. Rosentreter. Love talking about art. Love talking about the Clash. I've talked to Eric, and we spent some more time with each other kind of after the conversation. He's a really wonderful guy, and if you guys get a chance to just hang with him during this year's San Antonio Cocktail Conference 2017, really would suggest it. So thanks everybody for listening to Show to V with Mike G. No matter which season of Bones you are on, because Netflix has them all besides the new season premiere that just happened on January 3rd. I guess I'm turning into a little bit of a bone freak, or if you're waiting to see what HBO puts out next to binge watch, please keep dancing.